What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Small Lake City Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nilsson. Now, this week we are joined by Natalie Parkin, and Natalie is the owner of SkinWorks, the School of Advanced Skincare. Now, Natalie's story is pretty unique. Now, she grew up in a household that owned a beauty salon, so she spent a lot of time there, but eventually found herself pregnant at a young age, went back to school to study IT, had a career in IT and telecommunications until she found herself in a place of not knowing what she wanted to do next. Now, the opportunity to purchase SkinWorks came up, and she took the opportunity thinking it was going to be something much more simple than her career in telecommunications. But she's learned so much, from legislation to running a school and helping hundreds of people become estheticians and master estheticians so that they can have the flexibility and quality of life that they want. So let's jump into it. You're going to enjoy this conversation with Natalie, and I will see you on the other side. It's fun to see how many these brew pubs that have, because based on Utah liquor laws, it's are you a restaurant, are you a bar?
Yeah.
And so many places I love, it's a bar that has really good food.
Yeah.
And so friends.
You can't go there with family.
Yeah. And my friends have kids. They're like, oh, is it okay if I bring my kids? I'm like, for me, yeah. For them, probably not.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to, navigate it as you will. And there's workarounds of
and then it's weird when you go to another city, out of Utah, and you can go to the pub. Yeah, they have little kids in pubs all the time.
I did a trip. So I have some family live in Portland area, and with my cousin and his boyfriend and some friends, we did a trip to Bend. And if you go to Bend, it's, breweries, just outdoor stuff. And so we go to breweries and just be like families. And I'd be like, this is so wild to see where here it's just not even legal.
Yeah.
So there's things that I hope we get worked out sooner than later.
Yeah.
But it's a journey, not a destination, especially when it comes to liquor laws. I'm hoping the new Olympics will help that out.
Yeah, it helped a little bit the last time. I remember I worked in a different field then. It was when I worked in IT also. And we sponsored the Olympics. So we had the ski team.
Yeah.
So we were doing a lot of stuff around it. And it was just so interesting to see all the alcohol around Utah. I was like, people are walking around with alcohol. It was different. So.
Especially when, before then, it was when you had to be a member and have your card.
Because I think that got rid of the membership.
I think so.
Yeah.
I know it was around that time, because there's obviously a lot of things changed before 2002 and hopefully will change before 2034, but it's fun. I was 11 when the Olympics came then. So obviously I didn't know what was going on. And so I'm excited this time to be a little more of a participator instead of a spectator and just kind of oblivious to it all. So we'll see. I hope it helps the city as much as it did last time and learn from what we did.
I hope so too. And we have all the infrastructure, so I think it will be. I haven't really looked into it as much, but it seems to me like it will be cheaper this time.
I'm thinking so, because last time it was.
We had to build
freeways.
things.
It was Kearns Olympic Oval. It was tracks. It was the airport. There's so many things that happened where now I'm curious what those look. It's part of the stadiums they've talked about, which there's the Ryan Smith plan of how much he wants to develop downtown. The oh my gosh, I can't think of what they call it. Daybreak, that's getting all developed, but then also over by the refinery. I can't remember what the name they're calling it now, but where they want to put the a ballpark.
Okay.
So it's I see all of these chess and checkers playing at the same time, but it's all of these conversations.
It'll be interesting. I saw my first hop on, hop off bus in Salt Lake. Yeah. I was coming out here, and I'm like, where are they even going here?
Where are you hopping on or off? Because I've always seen tour buses go around downtown.
Yeah,
but I never see them after a while.
You think in Salt Lake, you just get off downtown and everything's within a few blocks, and so I'm like, where are they hopping on and hopping off?
Because I love a hop on, hop off bus.
I do too. I do it in all sorts of cities.
Because I was in Mexico City when I did the last one, and Mexico City is ginormous. We drove, I put on a hop on, hop off bus and drove for probably 45 minutes south, and the downtown didn't end, it kept going.
Wow.
And so it's the thought
I've never been there. But.
One of my favorite places in the world. It's just so vast, so huge, so much. Because when people think of Mexico, it's let's go to Cancun or Puerto Vallarta or Cabo, where it's a beach town where everybody speaks English and everybody takes $1. And that, because I learned Spanish on my mission, and it's never really helped that much, but that was the first place I traveled to where I was like, oh, they don't speak English. I have to speak Spanish. So that's
interesting.
Fun.
Yeah.
Just such a different culture. And then trying to figure out how I can go back. But
Yeah. I've heard it's beautiful. My aunt and uncle lived there for a few years. And so my grandma had gone there. But yeah.
Well, Natalie, I'm excited because it's fun when there's like certain topics of Salt Lake that get the privilege of talking to people about and understanding more. And I mean, this one is interesting to me as well. So for those who don't know, Natalie, owner and CEO of SkinWorks, School of Advanced Skincare, because it's such a unique part of Utah. Like for my day job, I spend a lot of time in Florida, and we always give that boss crap because he'll always say Silicon Valley instead of Silicon Valley when he's talking about San Francisco. We're like, of course you would say Silicon Valley if you're from Miami.
Yeah, I get that.
And there was I can't remember when it was done. It was semi-recently about like the amount of, this is like adjacent, not necessarily the exact same comparison, but the amount of med spas and plastic surgery that happens in Utah is only second to Miami per capita.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. It doesn't
totally
surprise me though.
No.
Yeah. And aesthetic schools too.
Yeah.
There's at least 8 of us that are standalone aesthetics only. I always tell students, especially we get students from Florida that travel to Utah to come to aesthetic school.
Interesting.
Yeah. We have a lot more hours than most of the states. And so we get a lot of people from Washington, Idaho, Colorado, but yes, Florida, because Florida is one of those deregulatory states. And so we get a lot of people coming from Florida so they can get their full education here rather than do it in little certificate programs.
Got it. No, I didn't know that. And I didn't know there were 8 schools.
Yeah. Yeah. There's quite a few. It's unusual. There's usually when I talk to other standalone beauty schools, they're like the only one in their state. But in Utah, we have quite a few of them. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I've had a number of, and I told you this when we first met, when I came to get my facial here, which was a great experience.
Oh, yeah.
Because like growing up, like we weren't like what I would call like a pamper family. Like we never like talked about getting a massage or getting a facial. Manicures, pedicures was so far removed from anything that I would consider like a decision that I would make.
Yeah.
And then as I grew up and got older, especially like as I started dating women, it was like, oh, like, do you want to go get a pedicure? I was like, what do you mean? And then I would go get a pedicure and be like, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
And that cascades all the way from massages to facials to everything. And it's like, it was a whole new world that I didn't know. And then as I got older, people went to aesthetic school, became master estheticians, and like then I started to see the trends. You drive up and down I-15 and there's so many ads of everything. And so excited to hear, about your journey of how you decided to, be a part of it. And so I know you're born and raised in Salt Lake Valley, but talk to me a little bit about how that became a part of your life.
Yeah. So I was raised in a beauty salon. My mom had what we call a shampoo set salon. And so she did hair for 50 years, and I kind of thought that I would just follow in her footsteps. When I was 19, we'll back up a little bit because I decided to start my family a little early.
Okay.
I was a teen mom. I got pregnant at 16 in high school and ended up dropping out, and then just started working right away. Like most teen moms do. Like it just free. Kind of, it's not free for sure. And I think my parents too, they just kind of had the belief system of like, you kind of made your bed, now you have to live in it. Yeah. So, but they did help me a lot with a lot of, especially babysitting. They were always there helping me with a lot of that, but they weren't daycare. They were babysitters. Like that was very clear.
Yes.
When I was 17, so like right after I ended up getting married when I was 16, and then about a year later I got divorced. And so then I was a single mom. That was a journey, but then I ended up getting married again when I was 19, and then I ended up getting divorced again when I was 22. So
lots of learning and life lessons very quickly.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned I moved to Seattle for a little period. So I actually moved to Seattle with my second husband. His family was from there, and we loved the scene up there, but nothing made me miss Utah more than moving out of the state. I was driving through, that dangerous pass in the middle of winter to come home to see my family, and I would do it in my little geoprism.
Oh my God. I've done that drive in the middle of winter where, if you the Seattle to Salt Lake drive, 13 hours, give or take. Yeah. It took me 19 hours one time because of how terrible, and this was me in like a let's see, what did I have at the time? Like it was like an SUV with all-wheel drive. And so the thought of an Geo Prism getting through there, oh my God.
Yeah, I would do it all the time. And I'm just like, I think I just need to move back home, because I was spending at least every month I was coming home, and I just really missed it. So, and then ever since then, I've just really appreciated Utah and loved everything about it. It's just kind of interesting how much I love it. But ended up coming back, didn't get divorced right away. But then shortly, about a year after that, we ended up getting divorced. And so then I was single mom again. That was kind of a pivotal point in my life. I had 2 kids at that point.
Wow.
And that's when I decided to get my GED and go back to school. And then I went back to school for electronic engineering, because I also really loved the tech side.
Yeah.
And I still do. So I worked in that industry for about 10 years. And it was a lot of fun. Like, there's never been a job that I've loved that I haven't loved. You know, all through my 20s, my dad would joke, if you've ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? My dad would always say, you're the one moving your own cheese. Like, you cannot settle down. So we kind of like, the only reason I'm still at Skinworks, which I just passed 20 years, is because I bought the place. And it's like, I can't leave. I guess
I'd sign my name on this one. Got to stick around.
Yeah, but I'm one of those people that just loves change. And I'm pretty, like, this is really sad to say, because COVID was horrible for so many reasons, but every day I was busy learning something new. And it was like, okay, this is, it just re-energized me, I think.
Yeah.
Because it was just, okay, we got to get all of our graduates on the phone. We got to have a call with the health department. We got to figure this out. And so it was like every day there was a task to do. And so it just kind of energized me a little bit, if that makes sense.
I mean, especially if you're so used to doing everything a certain way, and then it's like, hey, you still have to have these things happen. Now you have to do it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I love that you have like these 2 polar opposite, like, of this electrical engineering.
I know.
And then
different careers.
Yeah.
Well, and I will tell you, they are married way more than you think, especially in aesthetics, because aesthetics, we're dealing with laser. So, I'm using an alexandrite and a YAG and like all of the fiber that I learned about in ITT Tech, all of that stuff we use on a regular basis. So,
Natalie, how do you know how to fix it? Listen, we'll go over the story eventually, but just know it's fixed now.
I always tell my laser company, I could fix this, I probably could. And they're like, don't. Like, you'll void the warranty.
Yeah, we have warranty with you. We'll send someone out.
Yeah, but little things I feel I can fix. I'm one of those people, when I was little, I would just take things apart and put them back together. So, but it strangely has mirrored with beauty. Like, it is definitely come together. The other thing too is when I worked in telecommunications, I worked with high-end customers. So like the University of Utah and just high-end, like Fortune 500. And so a lot of like the RFPs and the red tape and stuff that I had to deal with in that job is very similar to what I do with accreditation and regulation on this side. So it's just, I have a friend that owns a school that's truck driving, Cosmo, and massage. And she's like, school is school, education's education. But it's the same with everything. I mean, sales is sales.
Yep.
Like, you can learn how to sell from an electrician. It's all relationship building, in my opinion. So it's just kind of, it's just a different place to hang my hat.
Totally. Like, there's so many, I mean, especially those soft skills that, like, I remember when I was in school, like, cause I studied finance, but then I'd always have these people who are like, oh, I'm doing communication, strategic communications. I'm like, what does that even mean? And then as I've gotten older, I'm like, wow, like, the art of communicating is so important, because like that's to convey a point or to get people behind you, or like kind of like almost like the definitions of like power itself all come down to communication. And like, feel like sometimes
you can do that in any business.
Totally.
Like, you can,
communication,
it's so
selling,
important.
it's all so synonymous. And so whether you be, I mean, working for a telecommunications company in electrical engineering, or trying to get people to graduate, like it's so many of these same skills.
Well, I tell my students, like, they're just as important as some of those like multi-million-dollar contracts that I would work on, because they're more personal to me. Like, I want them to succeed. And like, if if our graduates don't get a job and don't, or start their own business, if they're not successful, that's what hurts us, So I'm just always looking to see like how I can help them. Even ones that have graduated like 10 years ago, I run into them. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you in the industry? Do you want to come back and take some classes? The one thing you'll see a lot in our industry is people will just do one thing. So they'll do like waxing for 5 years. And then it's like, oh, I haven't done a facial forever. And I'm like, well, just come back to one of our facial classes. And just, if you want to do that again or add that to your menu, come back and like learn how to do it. And
so, just a little refresher course and then they can have a whole nother product suite.
Yeah. But some of them just love doing waxing. So they'll just do that for the rest of their life.
If it works, it works. Not everybody can do everything and not everybody will do everything.
And funny enough, they're probably the most lucrative careers, the waxers. Yeah. They get their clientele. They usually don't leave them. No. And they can get them in and out pretty quickly. So
that's one thing that I ironically learned as I grew out my hair. Because like when I had short hair, go to whoever, they pretty much know what they're doing. If they screw something up, a couple of weeks, a month later, it's fine.
Yeah.
But then when I had longer hair, like I got a bad haircut once, I was like, oh, we got to like think about this. And so now I have someone who I go to regularly that I would never leave her unless, something absolutely terrible happened. And so it's like in the same way, if I needed my brows done, my lashes done, wax, all of the things I'm like, if I had someone good, ride or die until they're not there anymore or something terrible happens and I have to go back to the drawing board. So it's such an industry of trust and people keep going and staying around.
Yeah. That's why I don't understand. I hope this doesn't make any of my employers mad, but I just don't really understand the non-compete. It's really, I think businesses and employers that hire our graduates should really think about that because it is, you're kind of just there to support the person that's working for you. And I think the more that they support them and rather than scare them that they can't take their clients and stuff like that. But I don't know why I'm getting into that, but I just did an onboarding for one of our employees and I'm like, I don't believe in non-competes. If you want to go to the school down the street, you can, but it's my job to keep you, it's my job.
If you can't keep employees happy, then why should they be punished because you aren't competent in whatever you're doing?
Yeah. But in the industry, really with like our graduates, it's such a personal thing. I mean, especially with some of the more intimate services that we do, once they find someone they love and they trust, they want to stay with them. So
they keep coming back for more because it's such an interpersonal thing where, even if they go to a different salon, spa, what have you, it's just a different place. Same tools, same person. So, I don't think I've ever had someone who's like, had an experience with someone I know where they're like, oh, my lash person left the salon, so I guess I got to go find someone else. It's like, now I go to a different place. Yeah. And so much more of this personal book of business.
Yeah.
And
very personal.
So I love this story. So you come back to Salt Lake, you do this completely different career. At what point were you like, maybe not this anymore and kind of back to, moving your cheese again?
Okay. So yeah, it's just kind of a funny story. And we joke, it's a good friend of mine that worked at Skinworks. So Skinworks was around 10 years before I purchased it. And I was part of the .com rise and the .com fall. And a lot of the telecommunication companies were going under because long distance was going away. And we were financially solvent for a long time. And so we were like the last to do layoffs, I think. And so by the time I got laid off, I just felt like the market was flooded with lots of people that did what I did. And so I started looking for businesses to buy. The way that the industry worked when I was in it is my boss was always in Denver. I saw them maybe 2 or 3 times a year and I worked from home then, so I had a pretty flexible schedule when I was in sales and I just couldn't see going back to like a 9-to-5 job. And so I'm like, well, I think I can run a business, I think I can do this on my own. And so I started looking for businesses for sale. And then that's when my girlfriend, who also worked with me in the telecommunications, she was like, I think you'd be really good at owning this school and it's for sale. And I was like, oh, that's weird.
Like that's such a different thing than I'm doing.
That's such a different thing. But there were
was it part of your decision-making process for businesses you were looking at, or was it completely off the radar?
It was off the radar. And what made me really want to do it is because going back to the whole reason I bring up the single mom thing is when I was in IT, I always felt that women were different. Mm-hmm. Like women, we have like this natural sales ability, like it's more relationship sales. Yeah. And I did very well in that side. I was like number 2 in the nation when like 2 years after I started. And I loved meeting with my clients and getting to know them and stuff. And so when I had the opportunity to buy a school where all these women were like changing their lives and starting new careers, that's really what drove me to do it. Is I'm like, oh my gosh, I can help these women hopefully and inspire them and try to do all of these things for them. So it really wasn't even about the beauty industry, but then it just kind of came back to my roots because I grew up in a beauty salon. Like I was there every Saturday with my mom. I was sweeping hair. I was just right there with the clients and loved them. So it just kind of all came full circle, which is weird. I didn't expect it to, but I will say I thought it was going to be easier.
Like everybody always thinks it's going to be easier. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're like, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
You think beauty school, that's got to be fun, right? You know, you go to school. You meet, I don't know. I just thought it would be fun. I did not know how highly regulated this industry is, but about 2 years in is when I really started getting involved, doing more legislation at the state. And then, I do a lot of legislation nationally too. So we go to Washington, D.C. At least once a year, sometimes 2 to 3 times a year.
And what does that look like? I mean, mostly just trying to get legislation either passed or changed, like around the beauty industry, or what kind of stuff would draw you to DC?
So DC, it's all has to do with trade school, federal and student loans, Pell Grants. A lot of times we're left out of things. We really noticed that with COVID. A lot of the for-profit schools were cut out of some of like the COVID grants. But there's always a group of people that feel like trade schools shouldn't be getting financial aid. And so we're constantly just talking to our students about what a great career this is. Not our students, but legislators. Yeah. You know, part of the problem with our industry too is a lot of times we're part-time. It's a lot of women. So sometimes it's income based. So like if they look at our graduates' income, it looks a little bit lower than what it is. But a lot of times our average, we've got some groups that do studies on our industry, but our average graduate works 28 hours a week. And that's just average. You know, there's some that work 40, there's some that work 10.
And that's the beauty of it is like that you get to, I mean, it's the flexibility because like, just like how you were like, oh, well, this job I got laid off from, the industry's kind of changing. I don't want to go have a 9 to 5. I want flexibility. Yeah. In a similar way, they're like, well, I want flexibility, whether it be, and like, that's one thing I get envious of sometimes of like when I have a salary, it's like, cool, I work 40 hours a week, I work 60 hours a week, I still get the same paycheck. Yeah. Whereas I have friends who, I mean, even estheticians, but like work in healthcare or other things where like, oh, I can go take another shift and get paid more, or just work more hours and get paid more, just book more customers. So it's that part of the flexibility, it sucks it helps them, but there's also it's like this kind of card that people use to be like, well, see, they don't make as much money, so we can't give as much of a student loan. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And as I was a single mom for so many years, like this is a career that can cater to that. You know, you can book your, clients around your kids' soccer games. Yeah. You can, I don't know. That's how I grew up. You know, my mom, she worked quite a bit when I was younger, but then as I got older and even in junior high, my mom only worked 2 days a week and she had the flexibility to do that. And so it's just a great career for that flexibility. And I just don't think people realize that. And the majority of our graduates and our industry are women. And so, they do have other responsibilities at home, and it might not be in their 20s, but like eventually, a lot of them want to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy concept.
Yeah.
And I love that there's kind of like this like boomerang where, I mean, you grew up in this, your mom beauty salon, sweeping hair, being around that. And then you become a single mother, move to Seattle, and then realize like, I miss Salt Lake and I want to come back here. So it's like kind of the first boomerang. And then not planning on getting into that industry in any way, shape, or form. Then all of a sudden it kind of comes over like, wait, actually it does. And so I'm sure there's moments where you see people come through the door and it's a reminder of kind of these different stages of your life where you're like, oh, it's like I get to help out that version of me and empower them to be the whatever they need in that life, whether they're graduating high school and are looking for something else, or they got divorced and have to go find their own work. I'm sure there's a million different stories that bring people through the door. But at the same time, like I'm always a big fan of women helping women and supporting them wherever they need.
Well, I was reminded today because I had a light that went out and I had to figure out with my son, he helped me. But,
is this how the joke starts about how many institutions it takes to screw in a light bulb?
Yeah, basically. But they don't have light bulbs anymore. I swear it's a conspiracy. Like they're all LED now. You have to change the actual fixture. But yeah, I was like, my husband was laughing. He's like, you're going to fix it? And I was like, hello, I know electricity. So
you're like, now I'll do it at least out of spite to prove you were wrong.
But anyways, sometimes I'm reminded the little jobs I do around here, I'm never too good to grab a plunger or anything like that. I kind of do the worst jobs.
Everybody else has teaching and learning and you're like, listen, y'all focus on that. I'll do everything else. And we'll go from there. But so, I mean, you've been in the role now for 20 years. I mean, even you say it was more than you thought it was going to be. I mean, talk to me a little bit about how the school's grown. I mean, what you've learned along the way and getting it from where it was to where it is today.
Well, I'll say the biggest thing that happened to me was about 2 years after I bought the school. One of my competitors came in and said, there's some legislation happening up the state. We need everyone at the Capitol. And she just ended up being my mentor. Someone that I just adore and trust. And she's like my dearest friend. And I think that's really rare for a lot of people to have competitors that really trust the other competitor. So we kind of laugh about that every now and then. But I just think I tell my students, like, you might think there's a lot of estheticians out there, but you don't realize how much you guys can help each other. The better we are as a whole, we can go further together than we can separate. And so let's all work together to try to make this industry really well known and make it safe and make it, profitable for everybody. So she's the one that really got me into legislation, taught me the ropes. So I have her to thank, and that's Brenda over at Cameo College. Wow. She's more retired these days. Her daughter, Ricky, who's amazing as well. She's taking over her school, or running her school, I guess I should say. But that happened. So about 18 years ago, she came knocking on my door and really taught me the ropes. And, I fell in love with legislation. Like, I was just shocked at how easy, just to sit in a room. We were kind of talking about the alcohol laws. Like, you're sitting in like a business committee, and you're listening to them talk about bringing wine into the grocery stores. And you're like, oh my gosh, are we really going to see things change here? Yeah. And so it's just interesting. And by the way, that was 5 years ago and it still hasn't happened. So, but it's just really interesting to watch laws change. I was also a surrogate in 2010, and surrogacy became an issue about 3 years ago. Maybe it was longer than that. Time flies by so fast. So it must have been longer ago than that, because I think there wasn't gay marriage yet. And so they were saying that the couple had to be married in order to do surrogacy or something like that. And my situation, I had twins for a gay couple. Wow. And so I was very passionate about it. And so I went up on the Capitol, and everything I learned on the beauty side, I was able to go up and rally the troops and get people to go up there.
Another skill that translates from one thing to another.
Yeah. And so the bill never even passed committee. And it was just like, oh my gosh, gosh, this feels so good that we can actually stop and make change, or stop making change in that situation.
Change that we don't want to happen.
Yeah, but it's just kind of interesting, anytime someone talks to me about a law, I'm like, that could probably be fixed. You just need to go talk to your legislator.
Get in the car. We're going to Capitol Hill. I know someone. We can talk to him.
Yeah. I will say it's been harder, like these last few years. I don't want to make any legislators mad, but I do feel like they listen to the people, like they're listening to the outside people more than their constituents these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So even locally. And I'm just like, how many constituents do you really have that are as passionate about this as I am? Exactly. And they're like, oh, I have a law. And I'm like, no, you have somebody that's writing you a really big check. You have a lot of money.
Yes, that can change quickly.
So
like the whole one that's been happening a lot recently is like with Prop 4 and having, which started as the gerrymandering maps, but then there's like been all these add-on things to essentially take away power from the people, give it to lawmakers.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that, even last year with all of was that last year or earlier this year? I think it was last year. Anyway, of when they collected the signatures to like repeal it. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
You work for us. We can change things just as well.
Well, we
as they
saw
can.
a lot of that too during COVID. There was like secret meetings and and we're like, wait, what? You can't do that. And so yeah, we saw, I think that's kind of when things started to change a lot, in my opinion.
I agree.
Is around COVID, because I remember feeling way more empowered going up there and making a difference before COVID. And then it's like COVID happened and it's like, there's a lot more happening behind closed doors. And I almost feel like you have to have a legislator really passionate about what you're fighting for so they can lobby on the inside.
Yeah.
Because they don't even come out to talk to you anymore. No. You used to be able to send a note in, they'd come out and talk to you. And that's really changed a lot. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah, we need that pendulum swing to come all the way back around.
We need it. I don't know. I get the whole count your vote thing, but I loved the caucus system because if people participated, it's such a great system to get people elected from a smaller group, and it's from the people. Mm-hmm. And then the count your vote came, and I'm just like, well, why are we doing both? I don't understand. Like, because now I usually am a delegate and I go to I do the caucus and everything, but I'm just like, it just seems so pointless because then you've got somebody that's going to get signatures and they're going to be on the ballot anyways. And then the people that vote, I don't know. It was kind of disappointing. It was disappointing when it was just the caucus system too, because my neighbor, like even my dear neighbors, I could get them to come once in a while, but I'm like, 15 people should not be representing 3,000. Yeah. People need to know about this meeting and they need to come. Yeah.
Because I remember I went to, what year was that? 2016, when I was like, I'm going to go to a caucus. And I was like, it was interesting just to see like more of the process, but also see like how few people show up. But I'm always a big believer in, more people that we can get together and have conversations in person and actually see what people think, the better, because it's insane to see, in the digital age, it's kind of relevant, but maybe not as much. But anyway, like they had on Twitter for a day, they had every profile say where it was from or where it was created. And it was interesting to see how many like political accounts were not based in the United States of America. And so that's
a little scary.
It back. And exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, we can have these digital silos where we think we're having these like fair, honest discussions and people's actual opinions. And then you shine a light on, it's like, oh, this isn't actually what you think it is.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that could be, I don't want to say solved, but we could get a lot better understanding if we just talk to people more and there's more kind of like formal ways, I guess, to have those conversations. But it's a weird world.
Yeah. And I can see why Count Your Vote came to be, because someone like you and someone like me goes to the caucus. We're like, there's only 15 people here. Like, this doesn't make sense, and we're supposed to I mean, you're representing, when you're a delegate, you're representing over 3,000 people. And it's like, I remember the first time I was a delegate, I was calling my neighbors. I was knocking on their doors like, what do you want me to vote for? They're like, I don't care.
Yeah, sure. What are you calling
yeah,
for?
they just thought I was crazy.
Whatever you think's best. You seem like you know.
And then they're like, what's a caucus? What's this? I don't even know there's a convention. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I think I even did like a Facebook page and tried to invite all my neighbors. And I'm like, hey, these are the issues. These are the candidates. Who do you want me to vote for? And
for you.
Yeah, but I can see why the count your votes there. But then I'm like, wish just everybody would get involved with the caucus because it's just makes more sense.
Not a place you thought you were going to see yourself when you decided to buy a beauty school.
No, not at all. Yeah. Who would have thought?
But I'm also curious about the school. I mean, like, how many students do you typically have at one time? I mean, also tell me a little bit about the program of like how much it takes to graduate and get the degree. I'm very curious about that.
Okay. So a lot of that changed this year. And for the last 20 years, we've had a basic aesthetics license and we've had a master aesthetics license. So the basics is kind of like the core stuff. So all of the beauty, waxing, facials, that's 600 hours. And then you would add on to it to do the masters. So our school had about 55% of our graduates would do just basics only.
Okay.
So, and they would make really great careers out of it. I just thought it was a great career. But then we would have a lot of people that would also want to do masters because they're the ones that want to work for the plastic surgeons, the dermatologist, or they want to do laser. And so that group would move on and do masters. Legislation last year's made it so there's no longer a basics license. There's only a master's license now. And so as of we just barely enrolled our last basic aesthetics license class. And then next year, we're only going to move forward with the master's license. Wow. And then we also have a lash tech license. So that's also a new one. So it used to be up until last year that if you wanted to do eyelash extensions, you had to do at least basics, which was 600 hours. And then last year, they made a new license for 100 hours to do lashes. And then when they did all of these changes with legislation, for some reason they felt they needed to move lashes up to 270 hours. So
how are they calculating this? It's like, 100,
I have no
170s.
I'll tell you one thing. They did not listen to us.
Sounds about par for the course.
Yes. We're like, 100 hours was too little because our students at that point didn't get a chance to really work on clients because it was all theory, all just models. They would bring in friends and family and practice on them. I feel like for an esthetician or a lash artist to really get to know how to do stuff, they really need to work on strangers. Yeah. They really need to work on clients because their family is never going to build their business. It's just like any other business. If you own a grocery store, you can't count on just your family to come in and buy groceries, right? Around. Yeah. It's the same thing with beauty, and so they need to know how to even introduce themselves to another person. Sometimes it takes 6 weeks just to get a student comfortable to say, hi, my name's Sally. I'm going to be your esthetician today, and walk them back to a treatment room where they're going to be alone with them for an hour. So some of those things take time. And especially now, we've got so many students that did all of high school online. They have social anxiety, and now we're expecting to just get them done really quick. Yeah,
170 hours, you're out, go work at a salon. It's fine. No, I'm with you. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so now with the new law where you have to get the master's
license.
So it goes from 600 hours to now what is it for?
It's 1,200 hours. Okay. So there's just one license for aesthetics, and it's the master aesthetics license. They have opened up permits. So there's little permits that you can do. We've chosen not to do that as of right now, just because we don't feel like our employers will hire them. And so, because we're accredited and do financial aid, we have to meet a certain requirement for job placement and graduation. So it matters if our students graduate. It matters if they get placed in the field, and it matters if they're able to pass their test. Yeah. So we just felt, let's kind of see how this goes, which is the master's license, and then we'll look at maybe the permits down the road.
But I mean, especially if everything changes as frequently and is, I mean, big as it does. I mean, as soon as you have a grasp on this, it's like, and by the way, now you have to do this, or this gets rolled back and you have to adjust.
Yeah, we were promised that we wouldn't have legislation again for the next, I think they said 10 years. We already are hearing things that are going to happen next year. Yeah. So like every time they tell us we'll get a break, we already know we don't have a break. So yeah, so we'll be up there again.
So much, yeah, they just go back on and off.
We'll be up there again. Who would have thought? But I mean, it kind of goes with what you were saying. Utah is a beautiful place, including the people. And there's a lot of med spas. There's a lot of doctors that like the beauty side of it. And so there's always something changing. Also, like trends, there's new machines out and there's just a lot of newness with aesthetics,
It's
there's always something.
Industry. I mean, just like, technological developments impact everything. I mean, same thing where new laser, new treatment, new trend, new something. And I'm sure you have to get up to speed with it. And then there's people who want to learn it or even come back and be like, listen, I don't know how to do this. Everybody asks about it.
And then what's old becomes new again because we've been doing lash perms forever. And then we stopped doing them because they weren't popular anymore. And then all of a sudden they changed the name to lash lifts and changed the rod. And it's the same thing that it used to be, but now it's like all the rage.
So like, did you want a lash? We're like, no. I wanted a lash lift. Like, sure, just come back. just don't ask any more questions.
Yeah. It's the same thing with like microcurrent. It's an older technology that's new again. Galvanic. Like it just goes away and then comes back. It's really interesting. Totally. So, yeah.
And has the school always been in this location?
No. It has since I've owned it. So it's been here since 2004. But it started in Trolley Square and then it went to another location in downtown. That's when I met the owner. This is even a more roundabout story, but this building my parents owned, and I introduced the old owner of Skinworks to my parents, and she moved in here before I bought it. So like there was a little bit of a relationship before that.
Interesting. That's so funny.
It was actually built for FHP, which was a medical, it was like a IHC back in the day. And it was a medical and dental clinic.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So I'm sure it like has the same sort of mappings and things needed to change to what it is today.
Yeah. And students that even came a year ago come in and they're like, oh, so much has changed. And I'm like, huh? I didn't realize I changed so much.
I see it every day. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm constantly improving. I mean, I think I love that part of it is I'm just always like bringing in a new piece of furniture or something.
From what I've gathered, that sounds very accurate. And as you should. I mean, it's your space.
Well, it's
your
the
business.
Change thing. Yeah.
So if you still have the same job in the same place, like we're at least going to move things around and make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And especially like, because when I came here the first time for a facial, I've driven past this place, God knows how many times, because it's like right off of State Street and 21st South. And then as my GPS is like, oh, it's right there. I was like, oh, here it is. And so that's one thing that's been fun. And like with the podcast in general is like, I get to learn so many new places and new things. And some of it's like right under my nose and I don't even know until it comes up on my radar.
I hear that all the time. Like, oh my gosh, I've heard that they've been here before and didn't even realize like what we did, or I don't know. We did like a Red Cross thing a little while ago, and most of the people that came were the neighborhood, and a lot of them didn't know what we did here. They're like, I walk by all the time. I've even come up to the door. I didn't realize everything that you guys did. So we've actually gained a lot of customers just from that little like introduction of them coming in. So it's been kind of fun to do. Yeah.
I love that. So good. It's so fun. I love learning about all of the little nooks and crannies and rabbit holes. And I'm excited that you get to, again, like have this opportunity to help women, to help people find this career, this joy that like gives us this flexibility of life. And especially in a place where there's so much appetite for it and where people can find jobs and that you're so passionate about it that you're willing to, literally march up to the Capitol and fight for what you want for the people that you
and it really is for them. Yeah. And I always tell them that this is your guys' industry. I'm fighting for you. I feel like they're so busy when they get out in the field. Sometimes they don't even realize what's going on.
Totally. Until they're just slapped with some huge change and they don't know why. And they have to go with it because there wasn't a voice, but thankfully you'd be the voice to help them.
Yeah. But
cool. Well, Natalie, I want to end with the 2 questions I always ask people at the end of each episode. Okay. Number 1, if you could have someone on the Small Lake City podcast and hear more about their story and what they're up to, who would you want to hear from?
Well, I just absolutely adore and love Angela Brown that owns Slug Magazine. Have you ever talked to her before?
I do. Yeah. I did. She was actually episode number 100 in the last one.
Was she?
Because she was someone who, I've known Slug since, I was a teenager. And then, so it was fun just kind of learn more about her. And then her assistant reached out and I was like, would love to.
She's one of my favorite people.
Because not only does she do Slug, then she has Craft Lake City, which she does as well, which is like, that was something that was completely off my radar.
And I'm a huge supporter of that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, and then also like, I feel these
as
like
you can see, I have lots of local art on my walls.
As everybody should. I don't like, like I was at Target 2 nights ago and walked down like the home aisle and there's like, it's this picture of these like, I think they're Scottish calves. But I like see it on everybody's wall. And I'm like, listen, just go buy something original. It doesn't have to be original. It can be a print, it can be whatever, but go buy something unique. Yeah. Not something that's mass produced in a store. And then it makes the space yours and it's a fun energy. So I like that eclectic.
Well, since you've had Angela, I'll point out, I have 2 artists in my life, and they're both on my walls. But my nephew is Skylar Chubak. He's a calligrapher and a sign maker, so he's very interesting.
Cool.
And then my son Colin Delgado, who his name is Trip Doom, so he's another artist that's really fun. Yeah,
no, I love talking to artists. Like I'm someone who I would never have created myself or called myself an artistic nor creative person, but then took a 10-week learn to paint class at Workshop SLC at the beginning of 2023. And it was, I'll never forget. I tell this story all the time if people ever ask me about it, but because again, like my only like especially painting classes was in like middle school and like, I'm not going to try at that. That's not who I am, whatever. And then I take this class because I had this like artistic and creative itch. And so I'll never forget the class we were doing still, it was just a painting of an apple. And so I start painting and like people would always stand up, take a break and go walk around and someone's behind me and they're like, oh, that's like really good. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. But in my head, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. This sucks. I'm terrible at this. So I take a picture of it, go on with my evening and I get home and kind of like laying in bed and I pull it up. I was like, oh,
that is
actually,
pretty good.
This isn't that bad. Like I do know how to do this.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody does need to have some sort of creativity in their life and output. And like, that's one thing that's kind of changed my life is just being able to have that and being able to be surrounded by creativity and artistry. And it's like, there's someone who's like, oh, I've tried things, but like, I don't know, I don't really like them. Like, I'll keep trying things. Like there will be something.
There's something.
Like even like calligraphy, like that's something that I've never been, I have terrible handwriting to begin with, but I know if I tried, I could get better. And like, that's part of my mantra. It's like, it's on your desk. Like everything is figure outable.
That's my favorite saying.
I mean, it is like, I was talking to my girlfriend who's getting her PhD in chemistry. And I was like, because she's like, oh, I could never do it. I'm like, yeah, you could.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, well, you could never do what I do. I'm like, I could. It just takes time and I'd have to figure it out, but I could do it.
Yeah.
And so like, once you have like that muscle memory enough of learning something new and like applying it and getting better at it, then you start to apply that to different things and you slowly are like, oh, I can figure most things out. It'll take time. And it's not like I'm going to be naturally good at it, but I can figure it out. And
I think the creative side is needed like when you're so busy and you're like, working all the time. I do a lot of jewelry and I've always done jewelry and I've done different types of like from silversmithing, I do beading and I do other types of stuff. But the big thing, like everyone always says, how do you sit there and like just do all those beads? Like, doesn't that get like boring? And I'm like, no, it's like the only time my brain shuts off and I actually have to count. Yeah. And so I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. And then eventually you have something really pretty. Yeah. So I don't know. Even reading a book or reading poetry or something like that, like having something to shut your brain off for a little bit is really important, I think. So
gotta have that white space in life.
Yeah. Like and I may not be able to draw, but I love watching people draw and I love buying their art. I love supporting them.
I too like buying original art from people. Like I love going to art markets.
And I love those smaller shows because you get original artwork for very inexpensive.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's so many great artists in Utah, and like to not support them or not like, because again, like not everybody likes all art, but to be like, do you like this? Yes or no? No. Cool. What about this? Yes. It's like the doctor's like 1 or 2, no, 2 or 3, 3 or 4. It's like same thing. Like you don't know how to appreciate it until you just get involved in it all. Like even, I mean, going back to like Red West, like the shirt I'm wearing last year, the first year I went, like if you were to ask me, I was like, I don't really like country music, but I get to go to a festival, put on some boots and we'll call it good. But after 3 days of being like, all right, 1 or 2, 2 or 3, and just hearing so much music and being like, oh, well, actually, like
there's different types of country.
I don't like this. I don't like, but this is amazing. Yeah. And so, I mean, the best way to get opinions or get, just to get exposure, and the best way to get exposure is just jump in 2 feet first and start.
That's been my favorite thing about the whole country movement is I've always listened to country, especially old country, and my kids have always hated it. And it's like now all of a sudden, like I've got 2 kids that are wearing cowboy boots now. I'm like, how did this happen? I'm like, I didn't do this, but I'm like, oh, country's cool again.
It's just like lash perms. It comes back as a lash lift, and then they like it. Oh man. And then Natalie, lastly, if people want to find out more information about SkinWorks, what's the best place to find information?
So our website is skinworks.edu, but honestly, like Instagram, it's skinworks _edu, and then Facebook and stuff. We're always trying to post on there. And then the best way to get to know us is just to come in and get a facial.
Yeah, come down, get pampered.
Meet our students.
If you've never had a facial, I'm talking to you, whoever's listening, you need it. Because I was the person who was like, oh, she can go do that, they can go do that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, listen, actually I'm in.
Yeah.
Get a little pampered, take care of your face, wear sunscreen, moisturize, because you don't want to look like, when I'm 45, I want to look like I'm 35. I don't want to look like I'm 55.
Yeah.
So
and it's crazy. Like that's the age that you're either 10 years older or 10 years younger.
Yeah. It's not, that's the age where you get a facelift or go under the needle. You can prepare, and there's a lot of other things you can do before then.
Absolutely. Yep. And we're here for you.
Yeah. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. It's been so great. Come support SkinWorks, whether you're looking for a career change or you're just looking for a facial. I got something for you.
Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Salt Lake City Podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, review, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. And we'll catch you next week. We'll see you there.